Grime has been one of my favorite Metroidvanias that I've played in recent memory. It has amazing exploration, platforming that always keeps evolving, satisfying combat, one of the most bizarre worlds that I've seen, and some fantastic bosses. With its sequel on the horizon, I decided that it's finally time to talk about one of its strongest aspects, the bosses. I'll be ranking both mini-bosses and major bosses from worst to best, using the usual ranking shown on screen. However, F and E tier won't be necessary, as the worst boss in the game is just a whatever mage boss. Artisan of Flesh. As I mentioned, he's a mage boss. And that's basically all I can say about him. Out of all the mini bosses that at least have something going for them, either a gimmick or a story moment, this guy just lacks, well, anything. When I think someone like Yon, who doesn't even have a boss health bar, has a lot more going for him, I think that's a problem. His attacks consist of flying orbs that limit your movement, spikes from the ground, and a red needle. Flying orbs are good on paper, but don't really add anything as the arena is massive and they only cover a small portion of it. Spikes from the ground are another good concept, but it ended up hurting the boss more than me, as he would always just back away into them like a dumbass he is. The needle is the only one that can seriously pose a threat to you. But the enemies in Corvin Palace used this attack constantly, and it was utilized much better than with Artisan. There's just nothing interesting going for him. Attacks are lame, music is forgettable. The only reason why he isn't in E tier is he isn't bullshit, just very unnoteworthy. On the contrary, Jawcrab does have something going for him, despite him being extremely easy. That is his claws that protect him from actual damage. Parry either of his claws and you can damage the boss from that side. Another nice detail is that he loses the ability to grab you if the claw is broken, though after you break them it becomes really easy. Just parry or pull to stop his attacks. Even if I don't go for the parries or pulls and just try to dodge the attacks, they're whatever. Harmless Rock Giant is next, who doesn't have any gimmicks going for him, but has a much sadder tone than any of the bosses. He doesn't even attack you unless you provoke him, and will scream if you kill his little friend. They didn't do anything to you, they were just chilling and talking about arts, yet they're nothing but stepping stones to you to reach higher places. It's just so tragic. Mechanics aren't too deep, but I can forgive it since this is the first mini-boss you'll likely come across, so its slow and simple moveset is perfect. I also like how if you parry him, he will fall over, forcing you to dodge immediately. I like it, but I think it is outshined by his grieving brother. Another rock giant, but with a more complex moveset than his harmless counterpart. It got stomps that sends shockwaves, rocks falling from above, making a whole floor unsafe, and he loves to jump around to catch you. Like with the harmless giant, this one also has a sadder tone, maybe even more so since Lithic is now empty. No more dancing rock people enjoying their lives. They all ran off or got captured by the Carvens, or worse, got infected by the plants in childbed. And music is just beautiful. While I do like his mechanics, I have to say, his damage is insane. This guy can one-shot you so easily. He hits harder than the final boss. So just tone down his damage when he jumps onto you. Thanks. Then I can have him above someone like Jawstack, who is at number 13. While it doesn't have any story significance as it's just a stag, but with a Jawstack. His attacks are pretty solid, and how he can sometimes extend some of them depending on your positioning. He also has a fair share of range attacks, he can donkey kick you if you're behind him, and can slide around while shooting mud balls from its mouth. So he has a decent attack variety and a good mix of combo extensions. Nothing to complain about, he's just a decent mini-boss, but is outclassed by Desert Watcher, who I think is not only the best mini-boss, but also our first B tier fight. But that comes with a caveat of whether you parry and pull everything in his arsenal. If you're good at parrying and pulling him down when the yellow indicator appears on him, then you'll find him to be a complete joke. He can't do anything while you just keep attacking him until your stamina runs out. But if you don't use parry or pull ability, then you'll get to see his moveset fully. For that, I don't think he should have been this easy to trivialize, considering he is fairly hidden. And I'm saying this because I find his attacks and combos to be really fun to dodge, and I found some nice strats of jumping over his lunges and landing with a heavy attack. He does appear again as an elite enemy in the Carven Palace, but I don't mind it since, again, I really like his moveset. And with that, the streak of mini bosses is complete, and now we can move to some actual major bosses. Like the Flower Heart. If I only ranked major bosses, the lowest would still be in B tier. That just tells you that Grime's main boss roster is excellent. The fight starts off with fighting one rock beast, who has simple and repetitive attack patterns of charging, throwing rocks, and rolling. You better learn to parry and pull as soon as you see the indicator, cause in phase 2 another rock beast shows up and becomes a gang fight. And they work really well with one another. There's never a moment of where the damage was unavoidable. Mostly they'll either take turns or do coordinated attacks, and it works pretty well. Now you might be wondering what role does the Flower Heart, you know, the name of the boss, have in the fight. Well, I have no clue. My guess is that whenever it appears you should focus on it for more damage. But I am already doing decent damage to the rock beasts. You don't even have to kill the flower to end the fight, you can just focus entirely on the beasts and you're good to go. So I feel like there is some missed potential with the Flower Heart itself. Also on New Game Plus, this fight is slightly changed, as whenever you parry one of the beasts, they become red, forcing you to dodge it. Good change, but again, maybe it could have received even more changes. Something like what Whispering Mothers receive. On just a new game, this is the second major boss, and it's another gang fight, but unlike with Flower Heart, this one goes straight into the gang phase. Both mothers have the exact same attack variety, but work wonderfully with one another. That is because most of their attacks are either rocks falling from above, sending shockwaves, or in this case, rock waves. And if you're too close to them, they can do an AoE rock explosion. Man, this game really rocks, doesn't it? And from time to time they will switch positions. Well, nothing crazy, it is a well balanced gang fight that is pretty enjoyable. They're also the first boss to have a second health bar once you kill one of the mothers, where it becomes much more aggressive, but is now susceptible to getting parried constantly. And the pace is slightly worse than in the first phase. But NG Plus does fix this issue by keeping the defeated mother alive. Only you can't damage it, you have to focus on the aggressive one. So instead of it being two identical AIs working with one another, this one is aggressive enemy plus a spellcaster, and it works pretty well. Not a unique concept, I mean one of the Neo 3 bosses is basically this, but it still works very well. And there is incentive to parry the aggressive one so you can get rid of all the clutter in the arena. Just a good gang fight all around. Vulture is less of a proper gang fight, but more of a big boss plus smaller variants. But before that part, he is just a big bird that can send shockwaves, fly around, spew poison, slam its head, or do a big poison laser. My favorite thing about this fight is how it teaches you the importance of the pull ability. Either to stop some of his attacks, so you can get free hits, or even use it to avoid unavoidable damage, like with the big poison laser, which can only be avoided by pulling the rock from the ground so you can hide behind it. All of this will be important in second phase when the Vulture starts summoning minions, which works super well with Vulture's arsenal. You absolutely want to kill the minions as they're the key to beating this phase. You can still damage the Vulture, only problem is it does minuscule damage, so it's best to focus on the minions. I quite like it. It's fun, chaotic, And the music really sells the adrenaline rush you have as you try to kill the minions as soon as possible. Vulture itself only gains some extensions to already existing attacks, though on this playthrough he did this one combo that I've never seen him do before. Wish he did that combo more, cause it goes really well with whatever the minions are doing. As for the New Game Plus changes, well, unfortunately this one sucks. The arena is limited, which doesn't really suit well with the Vulture, plus whenever you kill the minion, they permanently leave a hat that leaks poison on that spot. And all of this leads to so many moments where I don't even know if it was even possible to avoid incoming damage. He also has a turret health bar, which is somewhat good, but it has a fair share of janky animations, and worst of all, shitboxes. Like, what the fuck hit me here? So for this placement, let's just ignore the NG Plus version. If it was good, it would have been a low A tier fight at least. But that placement is taken by none other than Amalgam, a first major boss you encounter. I think this might be the first time I've ever ranked a tutorial boss this high on the list. And that's because I think this is one of the best tutorial bosses that I've seen. Not only does he teach you the importance of parrying, dodging and managing your stamina, but is also a challenging boss in its own right, but not too difficult for new players. After this I felt more confident in my parry skills and learned to be more careful about my stamina in early game. Mechanically he is great with fair and readable animations, good mix of red attacks that you can't parry, and even has some hidden interactions, like if you hit him in the eye, he takes double damage. But what really convinced me to put him in A is the New Game Plus version. Not only is it much harder and more aggressive, but also has one of my favorite attacks in the game. This long slam combo where you have to stay airborne for as long as possible. So yeah, this fight is great. Would be a shocker if he came back again later in the game again. Oh, would you look at that! This version has almost the same DNA as the previous version, only much harder, and has a handful of new attacks. Main gimmick in this one is from time to time he will destroy the floor, either left or right, forcing you to be on the opposite side until the floor reappears. And then he will destroy it again after some time. His other moves include a slam that sends a shockwave, some of his hand swipe attacks are extended, he can sometimes attack with both arms that are red, and my favorite is this long combo that ends with a pull indicator. And I really like the music. If the NG Plus version is better, then he could be even higher. But that's unfortunately the issue. He's the only one that has zero changes in New Game Plus. Why? I don't know. I always thought he was glitched and that's why he wasn't doing anything new. But no, there is nothing new to him. I guess him being extremely hidden and really tough meant that he didn't need any changes. But come on, he deserved at least something. Give him another hand or something. And speaking of hands, at number 6 is Shapely Fidus, who for many players, including myself, was a major roadblock. She hits like a truck, her combos are long, has a handful of unparryable attacks, can limit your arena even more. It is hands down the boss I died to the most on my first playthrough, before Dreamborn Terror even existed. But I gotta hand it to her, she uses the mechanics of Grime excellently. After some of her long combos, or even during them, you can use her pull ability for free damage. Or in this case, where she vomits a bunch of rocks, you can absorb the white ones to send back at her. Her throwing up explosive bombs in the arena can be used against her whenever she dashes around or slams her big weapon, as it can damage her. Or you can destroy them yourself so that they aren't a nuisance. Parrying her is also useful as it will stun her for some time, which is pretty handy. Though I have to say, you can just delete her first phase by constantly parrying, as she always has the same response every single time. But in her second phase, her weapon is glowing red and you can't parry it anymore. You're forced to dodge her long combos now, which are really fun to avoid. Second phase is tough on its own, so when she reveals her third phase, it's time for survival. literally, as you have to survive a set period of time before she explodes, and it can be overwhelming with her jumping around, running, and leaving even more explosive bombs everywhere. The music absolutely exhilarating in this part, especially when it reaches the climax of the fight. NG Plus is pretty good, with her doing more combo mix-ups and such, though her animations look really wonky, like she's just cancelling them. This is probably another case where I prefer the original one. It just feels smoother, and her pacing is better. At number 5 is yet another rock giant, Giant of Ice. Only this one completely lost its mind and is controlled like a puppet, which is reflected in how he moves and attacks you. It's a mindless corpse controlled by a parasite, or in this case, the flowers taking their roots inside this poor fella. However, I would say that first phase is pretty simple, as it's mostly just slams or spike eruptions. The green shockwave is good, especially if you're right next to him and he does that attack. Other than that, it's a fine phase. But thank God he gets a big sword in phase 2 and becomes Malikath. Literally. His swings have a lot of weight, and the best part about them is whenever they leave red pillars everywhere in the arena, making sure that your positioning is on point. Along with them, he has some combo variations based on your positioning. But what convinced me that he is higher than Shapely is the changes in New Game Plus. Whenever you parry him, he will send out 2 flies that must be dodged, and in second phase you can have one red pillar that stays for some time, which combos excellently with other red pillars and his melee moveset. Not S tier deserving in my eyes. Get it? Giant of Ice in my... okay, I will stop. But still, one of Grime's finest bosses. And speaking of that S tier, let's finally ascend to the highest tier possible. Number 4, Shidra of the World Pillar, the final boss of Grime, who does a fantastic job at testing everything you learned throughout the game one final time. Every ability of yours is put to test here, and the last ability upgrade, Double Jump, is used great here. Shidra might just have the widest assortment of attacks out of any boss, and all of them are complex in how you have to deal with them. Like the 2 orbs that send a shockwave, a yellow one can be sent back at Shidra, or when the lasers set the whole floor on fire, you can pull onto Shidra's head for free damage while also staying airborne, or absorbing the white rocks, etc. You get the picture. Each attack is difficult, but all of them can be used against him. He also summons minions while he heals in the back, which is a nice break from the endless barrage of attacks, while also helping you refill your breath so you can heal. And after them, it's back to action with Shidra. This whole phase is 10 out of 10, no complaints whatsoever. Wish I could say the same for the climb and final phase, but unfortunately they are extremely easy to deal with. The climb, you just go up, while the final phase is a complete joke. For story purposes I get it, he is at the brink of death and trying to survive, but I wish it was more involved than just pairing his hands, and he is dead. As for the New Game Plus changes, well again, phase 1 is made even better, but the climb and final phase are pretty much the same. Still, the first phase is what pushed him in S tier, so despite my grievances with the final phase, this is a fantastic final boss. At number 3 is Surrogate Vulture, who has by far the best visuals and spectacle out of any boss on the list. The way it moves, the sounds it makes, it sounds alien-like, in a game where everything and everyone looks like something out of a H.P. Lovecraft story. I just love how it's animated. It's probably the best animated boss. As for the mechanics, they are top-notch. First phase mostly consists of sending shockwaves, spike eruptions, orbs that limit your movement, and a good mix of melee swings with its wings, which are easy to parry. Only downside to it is that you can miss on some potential combo variations if you decide not to parry. Second phase just goes all out on the spectacle department, with Vulture flying around, sending blue waves that you have to dodge, lightnings that need to be dodged at the last second, and sending mini vultures at you. before he slowly comes to you to do a single combo that you can parry, then making poison rain fall from above, and then going back to his previously mentioned attacks. It is scripted to always happen in that order, but I don't care since everything in his arsenal is so fun to deal with. My favorite is when the mini vultures attack you and you have to parry them. The music is incredible. It's by far my favorite track in the game by a mile. I love it. And New Game Plus further improves the fight by giving him more combo mix-ups, while also adding a gimmick of whenever you hit the big orb, the lightning will be casted. The fight is perfect in every sense. I have zero complaints about it. The mechanics are great, spectacle is at an all-time high, the music is incredible, it is a perfect boss. I love it. Maybe even more so than our next boss, Final Performance. But the presentation and the build-up just makes me have to put it above Surrogate Vulture. Not only has this moment been built up throughout the game, but once you get there, it is unlike anything you've seen thus far. Residents don't look like monsters straight out of a Lovecraft story. They look normal, pristine, elegant. The whole place is gorgeous looking. All residents happy to finally see you and eagerly awaiting their demise. That is the whole point of this area. They embraced the fact that they're going to get wiped out by us, the player, so why not make the place grand, beautiful, so that they may never be forgotten. Some of them are a bit too happy to die, but you get the picture. That's why the boss is named like that. Final Performance. One last dance to be remembered. While the attacks of the performer aren't crazy looking like with the Vulture, one thing he does excel at is combo mix-up game. He can just switch his sight to be red seamlessly, and then making it parryable again. If the sight is red, get ready to dance. If it's normal, parry it. And I love how he has two different follow-ups when you parry him. He will either swing his weapon again, or back away with a pull indicator. What I also love is how the audience and the performer will react to you, depending if you manage to parry or pull the performer down. After a bit, he switches to a different phase with the dancers that will mostly charge at you, which you can utilize by parrying her, which will damage the boss, and then the performer will go back to his site again, before calling for the dancer again. And it's exhilarating. The flow, the music, mechanics, it's amazing. New Game Plus also improves the fight more by giving it more mechanics and additions. So it's yet another perfect boss with perfect mechanics and such. And yet, we live in a world where the best boss in Grime isn't Final Performance, or Surrogate Vulture, or even Shidra. Instead, it's none other than Dreamborn Terror. If you've seen my Metroidvania boss ranking video, then this placement isn't a shocker. I have been singing its praises because, man, this boss is fantastic. This boss has everything. Long and deadly combos, good mix of attacks you have to dodge, surprise follow-ups, sometimes cancelling its combos to do a plunging attack. And there is a lot of ground eruptions and such. It is also a multi-phase fight, consisting of 6 different phases. First phase, I already mentioned everything he can do, so I won't repeat myself. Except, I love how he can just cancel his combo with a sudden plunging attacks, which is always indicated with a zap sound. Second phase, he will mostly just run away from you while bunch of pillars are exploding and his twin blade is just flying everywhere. Point here is to chase him till he teleports in the air, which you can utilize for some huge damage. Third phase is a big climb, but unlike with Shidra, where it was really easy and simple, this one is much harder with the big muscle guy flexing in the background while sending big explosions on your way. Climb all the way, hit the boss, and the fourth phase begins. It is just like the first phase, only the big Chojo stand is now involved. This thing, combined with the terror, can lead to some of the most insane overlaps that I've seen. Those pillars, combined with Terror's deadly arsenal, can lead to some of the most intense and insane moments. And yet they work wonderfully. Fifth phase is the same as the second, only exception is Well, you can probably guess. This whole phase just becomes a big war zone. There's so much happening, it can be overwhelming. And then the final 6th phase is yet another climb to deal a finishing blow on the boss. The music, while not my favorite, is great, especially towards the end as it slowly builds up and becomes more distorted, selling the whole point of you desperately trying to reach the terror before he fully heals. Are there any negatives here? Well, yeah, I think the second phase can drag on a tad longer than it should, but honestly, it is not that big of a negative, when all other phases are near perfect. And this is also the hardest boss in the game, and I am still so sad that not many people even fought him. Before Lost Lace, before Agong even existed, this was my favorite 2D boss for a long time. And it does make me wonder how they'll top him in the second game. If they do that, then good. I want even better, crazier bosses than him. As I stated before, Grime's boss quality is top notch. No bad or awful bosses, only couple of mediocre mini bosses, and the main boss quality is just excellent. I cannot wait to play Grime 2. I've been looking forward to this game for such a long time. So see you soon when that game releases. Also be prepared for even more terrible puns and jokes for that game.